So by now you know I'm not the kind of person that shies away from a challenge, and this was a challenge to do the corners of my mini project for Qual 2020. Actually, I opted for this design, 912, which was actually too big for the grand metal hoop that I had. So I had to go back to my original hoops that came with the machine, so the 360 by 260, so that I can accommodate the size of the pattern. And my other challenge was that the triangle was a perfect triangle, but it wasn't fitting into the design. So I had to change the design, and I don't know if you can see it well here, but the design now is kind of taller and skinnier. So I actually went maxed out in height so that it will actually go from here to about here, and kept the same dimension on this horizontally, so that it really will end up here. So hopefully I'm gonna like this design. And now that so I wanted to show you, so I did do the precise positioning again to make sure that that was all right. But if I go back into the edit mode, so here how it works, I press edit here, and once I'm in edit, I click on the design that I want, and if I go here to look at the size, you have here the new dimension. What I did is I actually unlocked it, because if you don't unlock it, it will make it bigger or smaller according to the original size. But here I really wanted to go, so from left to right I kept it at 154, which is the smallest it could go. Ideally I would have liked to put it at 130, but I couldn't, so I left it there. But here for the height wise, I really maxed it out at 231 millimeters, and so this is how I did it. And now I'm ready to embroider the project, so I simply go to embroidery stitch out. It's going to ask me to hook on to put that hoop back in place. You hear the clip, so it's ready. I'm going to double check my positioning to make sure that nothing moved as I was explaining it to you. So to explain the hoop, to explain the positioning, sorry, precise positioning, I take my the butterfly to position it. I want this to be right in the center, so I will click on the point 2 so that it will move. And what I did, so I'm glad I checked, because it's a little bit too far to the left. So I'm basically going to be using these arrows here. So I will work with the arrow and move it to where I want it to be. Another way to do it is to basically take your finger and to scroll over the screen to the left, and you see that it's faster. But so if you have a big area to cover, you can move it using that. But once you really want to go down, and for the last millimeters, I will go with the arrows. So I like where it's positioned. I'm going to do one last check. So I will go back to the butterfly, and I will pick this right here, the farthest to the right, and I will ask the hoop to move to that position. So you'll see that the needle is really at the far end, and this is where I would actually move the quilt inside my hoop to make sure that it gets to the center here. And so I'm ready to start. I basically click OK and move on to stitch out progress. And so everything's ready. It's going to take 20 minutes at the speed I'm at on my machine to quilt the design. If I ask the machine to increase its speed, so if I would go at the fastest, it would only take 12 minutes. But because I have I have quilting threads and not embroidery thread, they're not as strong. So I keep it, and it's not saying anything negative about the threads, but I do want to be more cautious so that it doesn't break in the process. And so I will slow down the design, the speed, and press play so that it starts my quilting.